Ms. Marvel is off to a fantastic start, having the best 2 premiere episodes of any of the Marvel Disney Plus series so far, in my opinion. Episode 2 takes the momentum from Episode 1 and carries it all the way home to deliver a fun, fast-paced, and stylized episode. Once again, this episode remains very faithful to the comic while still doing its own thing. But let's take a look at those references as we break down Episode 2 of Ms. Marvel, Crushed. Kamala bursts into the school full of confidence thanks to her newfound purpose. She has some basketball fun, corrects her gym teacher on the pronunciation of her name, and finally has the confidence to push the lovebirds away from her locker. A complete contrast to the entrance she made last episode. She struts to Mace's Feels So Good, which talks about a bad boy that is foreshadowing the one she happens to bump into in this scene, Kamran. Notice the music stops when Bruno runs up because Bruno is not a bad boy. He's a nice Italian boy. Kamala has been testing her abilities, and she says she has tried to shrink, fly, and talk to ants. In the comics, Kamala was actually able to shrink due to her polymorph abilities. When Bruno questions why she thinks she has Ant-Man powers, Kamala says, "We're both charming and look younger than we are," referencing Paul Rudd's eternal youth and vampire abilities. Bruno and Kamala walk past the poster with a QR code on it, and if you scan the code, it will bring you to Ms. Marvel number 15, which is the issue titled Crush, just like our episode. This is the issue after Kamran is revealed to be a bad guy and has taken Kamala to New Adelan to meet his boss, Lineage. Zoe is seen gaining exposure, bombarding social media with the tale of her rescue at AvengerCon, which is something that also happens after she was rescued by Kamala in the comics. Now, I know Zoe seems like the worst again, but bear with her. She has shown her softer side, and I think we will peel back the layers and see that there's more going on. Having to think of a name for the hero on the spot, Zoe just spits out Nightlight in a very Ned Leeds, Freddie Freeman from Shazam, terrible at superhero names type of way. She states that she is having a party on Friday to celebrate the fragility of life and her 500,000 followers, and invites Kamran, which gets Kamala and Nakia's attention. The opening credits are different this episode, with a moon one, a Donkey Kong themed one, and even one that looks like something from Saved by the Bell. Kamala says that her powers feel like an idea come to life, which may be referencing that the structures are made from whatever she can imagine, like a Green Lantern power ring. Bruno and Kamala then have a training montage where Kamala works on her skills and tries to better understand them while also increasing her endurance and strength. This is taken directly from the first few issues when Kamala and Bruno do the same exact thing. Bruno, on a Surface tablet no less, is able to scan Kamala and see that her power is coming from inside her and not from the bangle. So it is possible that the bangle unlocks some sort of genetic abilities that were dormant. See, this is really interesting because Kamala in the comics was an Inhuman, with her abilities being unlocked through exposure to the Terrigen Mist. This show is essentially setting up the possibility that Kamala may still be Inhuman, and this piece of alien, aka Kree technology, awakened her genes and is giving her a prolonged Terrigenesis. Kamala tells Bruno to let her go in dramatic fashion as she falls from a horrifying 11 inches, mimicking Black Widow's death from Avengers Endgame, which I am sure Kamala is aware of through Scott's multiple podcast interviews. As Kamala and Nakia head to their mosque, we're shown that the women's side is very worse for wear, with falling tile, broken faucets, and moldy carpets, while the male side of the mosque is pristine and essentially brand new, furthering the double standard we saw last episode in regards to gender. Moreover, there is a shoe thief. Are our feet not sacred? The person presiding over the religious service is Sheikh Abdullah, a character from the comics who is aware of Kamala and Nakia and their idealism in both the comic and the series as we have seen so far. Kamala tells Nakia she should run for the mosque board election even though it is dominated by men. Nakia is an activist, an idealist, and someone who wants to bring about change. This episode is a great one for the character as we see her try and go after this board position to try and bring about change to her outdated cultural practices. At Zoe's party, a boy offers Kamala an orange juice, and she drinks it, realizing he left out the part about the vodka. Bruno tells the guy off, and Kamala wonders if she is drunk, and that being her first experience with alcohol. This moment is ripped directly from Ms. Marvel number 1, and is a part of Kamala's origin story. We see Kamran front flip off a roof into the pool, showing off his skills, and also wetting his pants in the process. Like, bruh, at least jump in your underwear and change back into your pants. This is Jersey in what looks like early spring, most likely spring, as we see the festival later, it gets cold. Unless this is foreshadowing his abilities, like the fire doodles we see around him from Kamala's imagination, then he's okay. But if not, you're gonna be cold, my guy. The cops come and the band of outcasts cheese it in Kamran's car, which is a black Porsche, just like in the comics. Did someone say comics? Speaking of comics, during the ride, we see Kamala and Kamran bond over Bollywood movies, which is how they connect in the books, much to the dismay of Bruno. Kamran drops them all off at the Circle Q and gives Kamala his number, remembering everyone's name except for Bruno's, who he definitely messed up on purpose to be a D-bag. On paper, Kamran is too good to be true, but it's too late. Kamala is already head over heels, as indicated by the glowing hearts surrounding her. We are treated to a whimsical dance number seen through Kamala's imagination to the sound of Be My Baby by the Ronettes. As she interacts with her parents, we are back to normal, only to jump back into the fantasy as Kamala makes her way to her room, where we get more visual texts. This time Kamran's, as he texts Kamala about a driving lesson for Monday. This leads us out the window where Kamala envisions her glowing purple and Bruno glowing in blue embracing. This is referencing the color of Kamala's power in the show and the colors of Bruno's powers in the comics and possibly also in the show. In the comics, Kamran has the ability to turn his body into a bluish-white energy, and he can then take the energy stored in his body and transfer it to an object, causing it to glow and then explode. At school, Kamala is having trouble controlling her abilities as a piece of hard light appears over her nose. She runs to the bathroom and hides in a stall where Nakia comes to talk to her, asking her if she needs a tampon. This scene really pays homage to the way that Kamala's powers were used in the comics. The abilities were representative of the weird and uncontrollable changes our bodies, more specifically female bodies, go through as we get older. This leads to a big moment for Nakia as Kamala opens up about her struggle to keep up with life and trying to find her place in the world, which triggers Nakia, who wears a hijab in the comics as well as the series, to take the moment further by explaining why she chooses to wear it. My whole life I've either been too white for some people or too ethnic for others, and it's been this very uncomfortable, sucky in-between. When I first put this on, I was hoping to shut some people up, but I kind of realized I don't need to prove anything to anybody. When I put this on, I feel like me, like I have a purpose. It is a very powerful scene that shows why the characters in this world are so special. Her job is essentially her superpowers. It gives her the confidence to walk between worlds and ignore what everyone has to say and just focus on being herself. It is so very empowering. We go from one of Kamala's besties to the other as we learn through the returning Mr. Gabe W. Wilson that Bruno got the early immersion program at Caltech, which means he would be spending the next semester across the country, and he isn't sure he is ready to do that yet. As I mentioned last video, this is actually a part of Bruno's story later on in the comic series. After being injured, he leaves Jersey City and goes to Wakanda on an academic scholarship because they were the only school willing to take him with his injuries that he incurred. It is a way for him to distance himself from his devotion to Kamala, and we may very well see this play out at the end of the season. After school, Kamala is ready for her driving lesson, with a brief awkward moment with Bruno just before as he stands between her and Kamran. Potential foreshadowing, perhaps? During the drive, Kamran references Mario Kart to describe Kamala's aggressive driving, showing his love of video games. Mario Kart especially being a game that Kamala loves to play with Nakia in the comics. The two stop at a Bombay Spice and talk Bollywood, and we get our first Eternals reference in the MCU outside of the film, as they mention Kingo, aka Kamal Nanjiani's character, who is a famous Bollywood star who just keeps pretending to be his own children to extend his career, as they also mention Kingo Sr., which is also Kingo. Amir spots the two with his fiancée Taisha Hillman. We heard her name mentioned last episode, but this is the first time we are actually seeing the character of Taisha. She is, of course, a character from the comics who was born and raised by two African-American Christian parents in Jersey City. She's a product of her multicultural environment, and while growing up, she found herself attracted to religion. Her parents' religion didn't speak to her, but Islam did, as she learned more about it through her Muslim friends in the neighborhood. She converted to Islam and went on to meet Amir at the mosque in Jersey City, where they fell in love and eventually married. It appears the show is incorporating a lot of this into the character. Amir, being the overprotective and religious brother he is highly suspicious of Kamran at first. Kamala is not allowed to be on a date without the supervision of a male family member. Eventually, Kamala fools him into thinking he is their cousin, and this is weird because the end of the episode may imply that they are related in some way, and if this is the case, then this whole episode is weird, but maybe that is not the case. We'll cover that later. At dinner, Yusuf Khan begins to explain why they moved to America when he begins telling the story of Muniba's family. While the Khans were in Karachi for generations, her family moved to Karachi after the partition. The partition is essentially when Great Britain finally left India in 1947 and the subcontinents partitioned into two independent nations, India and Pakistan, splitting essentially everything, treasury, transportation, civil services, between the two with a prominent religious divide separating them, as India had a Hindu majority and Pakistan a Muslim majority. This forced millions of people to migrate across the country based only off their religious beliefs. Many hundreds of thousands never made it due to harsh conditions or the displacement of thousands upon arrival, making it one of the worst refugee crises we have ever seen. Yusuf explains that Muniba's mother was caught up in this and was separated from her parents as a toddler. They were on the last train leaving the station, and somehow this toddler was able to climb her way onto the train just before it left the station. Suna always said she followed a trail of stars back to her father, implying that she also had some sort of genetic ability, if you looked at this statement literally. When asked about Suna's mother, Yusuf said she disappeared that night, and it activates the bangle as a white light appears, with a woman standing bathed in it. This knocks Kamala out. What I love is that this show honors the comics while also forging a new path, because in the comics there is a story arc that begins each issue detailing the journey the woman and Muniba's family have all had beginning during the partition, and the story revolves around the passing on of the bangle that Kamala uses for her costume. While in the comics the bangle is merely just an accessory used for storage while she fights crime, it still has a story, and the show is using that story, allowing them to reinvent Kamala's abilities. Kamala secretly calls her Nani and asks her about the bangle, and she tells Kamala that it belonged to her mother, Aisha, and she had no idea what happened to her, but her grandmother hangs up before she can get answers. After a conversation about the Jersey native John Bon Jovi, Muniba gets questioned about her grandmother by Kamala. She appears visibly upset upon hearing the name, further proving that Muniba knows more than she lets on. She says that name brought shame to their family and that she moved on halfway around the world to forget it. The family goes to Eid at the mosque, which is the festival of breaking fast at the end of Ramadan. Bruno is there, which leads to a funny exchange with Muniba about his attire. Nakia rallies the besties to garner votes for her as she starts with the Gyro King. Fun fact, Kamala's favorite post-superheroics meal in the comics is a gyro and fries. Nakia goes over her plan to tackle each social group, and we see the Mosque Bros, the Pious Boys, Sunday School Teachers, Insta-Click, #blessed, the Converts, or technically Reverts, the Mini Harame Girls, and of course, the Illuminantes. The logo for the Illuminantes is the comic book logo for the Illuminati in Marvel Comics, and it is such an interesting coincidence that we get this so soon after the MCU debut of the Illuminati in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Kamala calls dibs on the Illuminantes so that she can learn more about her maternal great-grandmother. We then transition to Zoe Zimmer, who is picked up by the Department of Damage Control and is being questioned by Agent Cleary, the same agent that interrogated Peter and his associates in No Way Home. We see the tact that he used on Ned Leeds here as he pretends to be a big fan of Zoe's content just to play to her naivety, switching into a more serious tone once she is on the hook. We see the government is still using the term enhanced to describe someone with powers, which was the placeholder term for mutant, first seen in Avengers Age of Ultron. Agent Cleary keeps pushing, trying to get a description of the girl as Agent Deaver enters the interrogation and gets a little more aggressive about the racial profiling. When they realize the girl is South Asian, Deaver looks at Cleary, who appears visibly upset to hear it. He reluctantly orders a sweep of every temple, community center, and mosque in the tri-state area and tells Deaver to be respectful due to the FBI already surveilling them. That is actually true. After 9/11, Muslim communities have been heavily targeted for surveillance and undercover work by the FBI and the NYPD, with these investigations not turning up many leads. It is a very sensitive subject as it continues to a certain extent even to this day. That being said, Agent Deaver looks a little too happy about all of this. Back at the festival, Kamala asks the Illuminantes about her great-grandmother. They tell her that while her mother is a great woman, her great-grandmother brought great shame upon their family, each of them sharing gossip they heard about the woman. None of it good, as they talk about her being cursed, potential affairs, secret families, with one woman saying she heard she murdered a man during the partition, which may end up being true. Just then, one of the young boys is trying to get a sick shot for his Insta, which unfortunately is hyper-realistic to the time, and he loses his footing, dangling from a tower of the mosque. Kamala jumps into action and wins the award for fastest costume change, showing how great her heroine instincts are as she talks to the boy to calm him down, leading to one of the scariest things in the MCU. Ice cream pizza. Kamala using her training to bounce to the boy, making a light structure just in time to catch him. It is here that we see this little turd is the mosque shoe thief, as he's wearing Nakia's shoes that got stolen earlier. After hitting the sick superhero landing, we see social media reacting to the save. But before Kamala can finish the job, she has another vision of this woman and drops the boy, unable to catch him with her embiggening. He lands hard and she runs away. After fleeing into an alleyway, she is attacked by what appear to be 2 drones from Spider-Man No Way Home, now under the control of the DODC. She smashes them pretty easily, but is cornered by a strike team of agents led by Deaver, who are using Stark Tech sonic devices first seen in The Incredible Hulk. I mean, this is most likely why they are using the drones. We know that the drones were willed to Peter by Tony Stark after the events of Avengers Endgame, but in this new timeline, there is no Peter Parker for these drones to be in control of. So maybe through some sort of Doctor Strange magic, the legality bounces the ones that are left after the events of Far From Home to revert to the ownership to the DODC. I don't know, but I think it's pretty cool. She manages to escape thanks to a save from Kamran. And in the backseat, we discover the woman from Kamala's visions, who Kamran introduces as his mother. Okay, this is all very confusing because up until now it was implied that the person Kamala was seeing is her great-grandmother, especially in the first vision of her in the older clothing. But now Kamran is stating that this person is his mother, so if she is both, that makes Kamran and Kamala related, and that is kind of gross. I honestly think there is something bigger going on here. I think this secret individual has the ability that allows her to change appearances or manipulate her appearance in people's minds, like the Kree Supreme Intelligence from Captain Marvel. However, the other likely option, and the one that I'm really backing right now, is that when Kamran says mother, he means it non-biologically. In the comics, Kamran was a henchman for an Inhuman villain named Lineage, a mob boss who has many abilities, one of which is the ability to speak to his deceased ancestors. I feel like this character we meet at the end will end up being an updated version of this comic character, modernized and made more personal to Kamala's story. Perhaps the Lineage name could refer to her finding members of her culture with abilities like her and taking them in and guiding them to do her bidding. Only time will tell. What a fantastic episode 2 of Ms. Marvel. In all seriousness, these have been my favorite 1-2 punch of episodes in the MCU during the Disney Plus era. This show is such a breath of fresh air with amazing characters and fast-paced quality storytelling. I am already all in on this show. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and leave your thoughts on episode 2 of Ms. Marvel down below. If you saw anything I've missed, also leave that in the comments as well. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest Ms. Marvel theory videos and breakdowns. And until next time, guys, stay versed.